Why, hello there. I was just wondering how your holes are doing. Do they still retain their youthful size and shape, or have they become very large and raggedy with age? If it's the latter, then I think I can help bring back the youthful size and shape of your holes. Watch the following video, and you will learn how. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm just down in the workshop drilling some holes. Why am I drilling holes? Well, a lot of my birdhouses have their holes enlarged by woodpeckers or red squirrels typically. And so they become unsuitable for the targeted species that the birdhouse was made. Most of my birdhouses are used by tree swallows or eastern bluebirds, and both of those species require a nest entrance hole of 1.5 inches in diameter, which is what this little template shows here, a 1.5 inch wide hole. And when these holes get enlarged by things like red squirrels or some of the woodpeckers in the area, they can get up to 2 inches or more in diameter, often with a very raggedy edge if it's been chewed open by a squirrel, and maybe somewhat more uniform but still enlarged by things like hairy woodpeckers. So what I do to correct that is make these little templates with the correct size hole drilled into that, and then I screw that on top of the old hole in the existing box. So this will have a new 1.5 inch hole drilled into it, and then I just screw this on top of the box, the old hole, and then it's usually good, hopefully, for a few more years like that instead of building a whole new box. So what I'm doing today is I'm making a few more of these. I've got one drilled out here, and I'm going to drill out 3 other ones. Then I got to cut this board into the 4-inch squares that I use for these templates, and then I'll just go out and attach them to the houses. There's 3 or 4 houses out there right now that I need to do this to, otherwise the holes will be too big. And either the birds may nest in them, and then they'll be at threat from predators that can now get into the bigger hole, things like starlings or squirrels or other predators, or they simply will avoid the holes or the nest boxes because they're not the right size holes. So either way, it's not good to leave them like that. Okay, so here's the little board that I've made the 4 templates on. Now I just have to cut them out on the table saw. It's easier to drill the holes when the board is together than trying to hold small pieces of wood and then drill a hole. That's why I did the holes first. And now I'll just cut them out. I don't know if this will do all the boxes that I need, but I'll start with this, and hopefully this will do it for this year. Okay, here are my 4 hole templates. Now what I'll do is I'll just drill maybe 3 holes in each one for the screws. I'll put in maybe 1-inch screws. So this is 1/2 inch wide plywood, so half of the screw will go through this and half of it will go into the birdhouse, which is built out of 3/4 inch thick wood, so it won't penetrate further than inside the wood itself. It won't go into the box is what I'm trying to say. And before I do that though, I will just sand the edges of the outside of these, the part that's going to stick outside towards the bird. I'll sand the the hole a bit to make it smooth without widening it to any significant degree. Just smooth down the outside edge predominantly, and then I'll sand these edges of the outside of these boards too, just so they're not as sharp. If you don't have a round file, you can simply use a piece of sandpaper. Just go around and smooth the inside edges, take away the slivers that are there. There we go. Nice and smooth. Okay, now I'm just going to drill pilot holes in the corners of the template. You could probably get away with 3 screws. I've done that on a number of houses where I'll just put 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom like this. And that's fine. That holds it perfectly adequately, but if you want to do all corners, that's another option. Okay, here's my 4 completed hole templates. And here are my screws that I'm going to use, 1-inch outdoor construction screws. And when you put these on over the old hole, it's important to line up the bottom of both holes so that when the birds go in, they won't be encountering a ridge sticking up in this hole. You want to keep the bottom of this hole aligned with the bottom of the old hole, wherever it is, wherever it's been chewed to. And you want to keep this hole fully open. You don't want to have any obstructions from the old hole or the edge of the old hole showing through and obstructing the birds. So here's the first hole I'm going to replace. You can see how it's been enlarged by something, probably a woodpecker out here, because I don't think there'd be any red squirrels out in the middle of the field. And I'll just put this new hole template over it like this. Okay, here's the new template added, and you can see how much smaller the hole is and cleaner it is now for the swallows to use, or bluebirds. And here's the other box that's down on my main swallow fence line here, and you can see how the woodpecker has just chopped it out again up here. Okay, here's this box with the new guard protected. Now in stores you can buy similar things to this, or you can buy metal versions, and they often call them predator guards.
And that's because by raising the thickness of the front board here effectively by 1/2 inch or whatever thickness this guard is, by raising the overall thickness, it actually does help to protect the inner nest from predators, because they have a further reach now so things like starlings would have to reach even further now to potentially get in and affect the young. So that's why they're often called predator guards. Now in my case here, I'm sort of referring to them as nest hole templates, just because I'm not necessarily putting them on just for a predator guard, but simply to bring back the original size of the hole that makes it more appropriate for the birds nesting in here. Now here's a case where even a template I put on has been chewed open, so I'll just unscrew this and take this off and put the new one on. And there we go, the new template has been applied and the correct hole size is presented once again. And another house where the template has been chewed out, so I'll just replace this template as well. So that's the beauty of these nest hole replacement templates, is that you can replace them quickly from year to year if need be. Now usually they last for a few years before they get chewed out, but you never know. It just depends where the woodpeckers or the squirrels are going to attack next. This shows the condition of the original hole, having been chopped or chewed out quite a bit beyond its 1.5 inch size. And there we go with the new template installed. Once the new owners of the house take over for this season, they will protect the house from other birds such as woodpeckers and whatnot. So this usually lasts for a couple of years at least, or longer, depending on whether a woodpecker or a squirrel wants to get in.
Well, there we are. Just a few tips on how to bring back the correct size and shape of the holes in your bird boxes that they're supposed to have without having to rebuild the whole bird box. Hope you enjoyed that video.